Washington insiders saying there's a lack of leadership in the executive branch. Cabinet members on leave or sick right now, out, missing in action. A lot of questions there.
For the latest, let's welcome in Newsmax White House correspondent Emerald Robinson. She's live for us in D.C. Emerald, these Biden staffing issues come at a time where we're seeing worker shortages and supply chain issues nationwide. Talk to me about this timing.
And crisis continuing at the southern border. Look, you're actually seeing a lot in the punditry on television. This is no secret. This is no just behind the scenes chatter. You openly have had Democrat members of Congress question the president's leadership on, say, for instance, his spending bill. So we're seeing him be a little more involved with that this week. But there are bigger questions right now about the supply chain issues that are growing by the day. Though, if you saw Jen Psaki in the briefing room yesterday, she made light of it in one instance, talking about the treadmill not getting into a person, but it's much starker than that. In fact, this comes at a time that the Department of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is actually out on paternity leave. He and his partner had adopted twin babies, and he has taken, from what we understand, somewhere around 8 weeks. It could be longer of leave. So I tried to ask Jen Psaki, at what point does he plan to come back to work, given that there is a major crisis, maybe the biggest crisis facing the country right now, as we're looking at cargo ships sitting off, can't dock, can't get unloaded. There's not enough truck drivers to then to drive when the supplies are put on trucks, to drive them to distribution centers. There's not enough people at distribution centers. And even Jen Psaki noted those issues herself yesterday. But when I asked her who was in charge, given that he's still on paternity leave and not in the office, I nailed her down on that. This is how it went.
He's at work.
He's on paternity leave.
I was on a conference call with him this morning.
Back. He's in the department now, every day.
Listen, Emerald, I think what you're getting at here is this question about whether men, parents, women should have paternity and maternity leave. And the answer is absolutely yes. In our view, that is the policy of this administration. That is what we're pressing to make law, so it's a reality for women, parents, fathers across the country, and we're not going to back away from that.
That was not the question I was asking. I was asking if, given that the crisis is so severe, should he not come back to work given this situation? I also tried to nail her down on who exactly is in charge in place of him, given that he's still not on property at the department day to day and able to deal with these things. And I really didn't get a solid answer from her. Psaki saying that there is a range of officials, including civil servants, who can deal with it. And that's something that is not a comfortable answer to a lot of people that I've talked to who deal with supply chain issues. But it's not just a supply chain issue. It's also the border crisis that is growing as we're looking at more possible caravans coming and more migrants flooding the border. And as we learned yesterday, that the Department of Homeland Security continues to fly in migrant teenagers to areas like Westchester, New York in the middle of the night. Now you have Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas announcing yesterday that he's tested positive for COVID-19 during this latest debacle and fallout over these flights that have fallen on the administration. But look, it's also the Vice President Kamala Harris who was appointed to oversee these migration issues on the southern border, and she really has not had anything to say about this either. And that's something that's getting noted here in D.C. and beyond. I mean, we talk about it with a lot of people, right, Sean?
We do. You know, one of the questions back to the Buttigieg subject is a deputy that was named. Why not come out in a press release and announce that, hey, he's on paternity leave, but don't worry, this is covered. Here's the person in its place. And it seems to be you'd have to dig to even find that answer in a time where we're in a crisis of a supply chain and so many other issues. And that's what a lot of the American people are having issues with. The other thing I want to ask,
why not come brief us in the briefing room as well? They often do that. You know, they will get the official who's the point person for whatever the situation is to come directly to the briefing room and talk to us. And I think that's something that would be very reassuring to the American people.
Right. No one was arguing that someone should or shouldn't be on maternity leave or paternity leave. But the American people need to understand who's in charge of transportation right now, because we need them, clearly.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.